Hey folks, I'm Tom Vassell and welcome to Board Game Breakfast. We're so glad you decided to join us today. So a couple things to talk about. We talked about the Dice Tower Retreat last week. The Dice Tower Retreat registration is live. There is still room for a few people to come. We would love to have you join us. This is I hesitate to use the word exclusive, but it's a very small event. It's not exclusive because everyone is welcome to come as long as you love playing games. And this is just basically a weekend from Thursday to Sunday where we get together and play games with our fairly big Dice Tower library, fairly fantastic Dice Tower library, and the Dice Tower gang. So if you want to come and play games with us there, simply let us know. Come to dicetowerretreat.com for more info about that. And later this week, we also have Dice Tower Cruise going live, the registration for that, so keep an eye on that. We'll be announcing that on our Twitter and Facebook feeds. I can't tell you how amazing Dice Tower Cruise is. This is our 2020 cruise. It will be happening next year in January, so if you want to come on that, more information for that can be found at dicetowercruise.com. We ran a contest last week for several games basically for the Silver River contest. I have some winners here. Now here's the thing. It's possible that these people won't respond, so just keep an eye on your email. We will email you and let you know, but congratulations to Christian Champagne, Amanda Rutledge, and Jeff Harrion. So congratulations to those winners. There could be more. Maybe they won't respond. It could be you, so just keep an eye on your email for that. And thank you to everyone who participated. There was quite a few entries in that contest. All right, it's another week. I'm excited here at the Dice Tower. Well, mostly excited. There's things like taxes and stuff like that, but let's just talk about the fun stuff, which is mostly games, and we'll start by looking on the internet. Okay, so first of all, there's always Reddit has a lot of Ask Me Anythings on them. So there are several of those. I'd like to point out the Ask Me Anything here for Jeff Kornberg, who does a How to Play channel, which is a very much a parody channel, very hilarious. I mentioned a video that he did last week. But here he's kind of open, talks about why he does what he does and things like that. I'm always interested at peeks behind the scene, and this is one of those. Now on Crowdfunder, this is not Kickstarter or even Indiegogo, Crowdfunder from UK, there's the 3rd Uganda Village Board Game Convention up on there. I thought I'd point this out. I think it's really neat to support things like this. It's really cool to see these kids playing Twilight Imperium and other games like that, so if you want to be involved with that, you can check that out. Shut Up and Sit Down we're always talking about Cult of the New and talking about the new things. Well, they did a review of card games you need to have, and they talked about Gin Rummy. I'm not sure I necessarily agree with that conclusion. I think Gin Rummy is okay. I don't think it's a bad game, but I would rather play more modern games, I guess, but see what they have to say about it. The New Yorker had an article about the oldest game in the world, or one of the oldest games in the world. Everyone's going to claim to be that one. 58 Holes, which is a fun name for a game. So it's always cool to see stuff like this in mainstream media. I found this little infograph on the Board Game Geek Top 100 Games sorted by year. So as you can see, the year 2015 has the most games in it, definitely skewed towards modern games, although not quite so many from 2018. But of course, that's going to change maybe as time goes by, as we play things. I'm very curious to see what this will look like in 10 years. Will the teens still have it, or will the games from the 20s supplant them? What will happen? We don't know. I found an article on Board Game Geek where someone talked about different spray finishes for cards, as if you're making your own game. And so this is something I don't know that I would ever use, but it's still kind of fascinating that there's information like this available. It makes the internet a really wonderful place. Weird story of the week. This is just hinging on board games, but the Sassoon Files, which is a role-playing game. They had some stuff printed as about Cthulhu or whatever. The Chinese government burned all the books. So it's being printed in China. It didn't pass whatever the reasons were for burning it. They burned them all. So the company that made this is not, pleased about it. I guess the manufacturer is going to cover the costs for it and all and fix it. They also seem a little proud of the fact that our books got burned. Just a very interesting situation. And then to end the note on a positive thing, the Board Game Gripes #3 from the brothers Murph. Really funny stuff. This is one of those videos where it's hard not to laugh out loud when watching it. That's what I found on the internet this week. You want me to put something up? Email me at tom@dicetower.com and maybe you'll see it. Until then, let's keep moving.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Chop Shop. I'm Z Garcia. Today we're going to be talking about another game I'm letting go from the collection. And this is the game Familienband from Leo Colovini. This came out in the early 2000s. And it's one of those games in which you have some hidden information that you are trying to score without being too obvious to the other player so that they don't tank you. In it, you are going to have a secret trait, a secret, genetic trait. So you might have, long hair, big noses, big ears, that sort of thing. You're trying to further that through multiple generations, playing these cards to the table in order to have the most points at the end of the game. And only at the end of the game do you reveal what your thing is, and you see if you won the whole thing. It's a clever concept. However, there's two things that kind of put this one to bed for me. The first one is that these family tree games, if I like the theme, have been done in more interesting ways elsewhere. For example, the Testament de Luc de Crécy, it's a better game to simulate that than this game. I think that's more interesting. And then the second thing, and the more important thing, is that this kind of feels like social deduction before that was really a thing. And so games which now remove a lot of this excess sort of moving parts and just give you that social deduction, that figuring out who's who aspect, which was a big part of this, they're now everywhere. And so you can play The Resistance, you can play Deception, Murder in Hong Kong, you can play Mayday, Mayday. There's all of these games that give me a similar feeling to this without the upkeep. And that's largely why. Every time I would want to play something like this, those games give me a purer, more distilled experience that I can jump right into. So unfortunately, this one's gonna go. I will say, Leo Colovini made another game very similar to this core concept called Clans. And I do like that game a little bit better. It's a little more interesting, but it is more abstract than this. So there you go. That's it for my Chop Shop. Thank you for checking this out. Enjoy the rest of your breakfast.
This is Roy Candy, and this is Printed Pieces, where we talk about 3D printing and what it can bring to the tabletop hobby. Well, today we're going to be talking all about 3D printing as a game designer. So there's all sorts of ways you can use 3D printing in your game designs, whether it be to print out like different cubes, maybe you need some cubes for your game, or maybe you need like certain shaped meeples. There's all sorts of stuff you can do with that. And hey, maybe your prototype just has like tokens and different things representing, or little standees representing your stuff. You can actually find tons of STL files for amazing miniatures, especially if you need like D&D fantasy type miniatures, or even all sorts of other things like robots or all sorts of different crazy things you can print out to make your prototype look even better. And if you're a newer designer, this will make your prototype look great and like help people want to play your game more. And also, like when you're pitching it to a publisher, if they're like, oh, he printed out these filler like stand-in like 3D things, but he must be like really passionate about this game, so it can help you pitch the game as well if your game looks great. So there's also ways you can create your own things to be 3D printed. If you just mess around with a little bit of Tinkercad, you can make different things. I actually needed like a little C clip to like fit on a base for a thing, and I actually went into Tinkercad and simply design this thing that I wouldn't really be able to like cut out in cardboard without it like looking too crazy. I could print it out on my 3D printer and be able to utilize that for my prototype. And there's all sorts of different things you can do as a designer. It just kind of makes sense as a designer to be able to create things that help out with your prototypes and your board game. And also, if you're like a big name designer, maybe you have 3D files that are being made for your game already. And so you've gotten the game all the way to the design point. You could print out some of these to be able to play test or like show off the game with these 3D models from the files that are already being sent off for production. So there's all sorts of ways that 3D printing can be awesome from a design standpoint, and if you're a designer especially. So definitely check it out and definitely be thinking about that as you're looking at your designs. So thanks so much for joining me on Printed Pieces, and I'll see you on the next one.
Hey folks, welcome back to what's going to game night, or what's in the game night bag. I actually can't remember what I name it now, but you've already seen the title, so you know what I'm talking about. So here's my game night bag, and I'm going to be taking these games along to the next few meetups so I can get them played. Some of them I've already played, but hey, let's get to that. So first of all, pow! First one here, Battlestar Galactica. Now, it's got a little Ziploc bag down here, but this is the Starship Battles thing. I've already played this once with Roy, and we did it while we were at Dice Tower West, and so I've got one play under my belt, but not nearly enough. Want to see how things flesh out and all that kind of stuff before I give this one a review, but it is on the docket, it is in the game bag, it is going to be going to different events, so that's Starship Battles. We got a couple of two-player games, because last Tuesday, I was kind of stuck, I got there a little bit late and everybody's already in games, and so there was just me and another dude and didn't have any two-player games. We had some games that played with two players, but that's not always the best situation. So I'm going to be taking Libraria with me. This one, you are assuming the role of librarians who duel for control of bookshelves while trying to avoid book-eating mice. So, yeah, it's really light. It's a two-player game. We'll see how it goes. And so another two-player game here, we have Dungeon Duel. Now, Dungeon Duel is another two-player game. I just want to be able to be prepared for that circumstance if I get stuck playing just two-player games or just have one other person to play. So there you have it, Dungeon Duel. And then we have this one. This one I've already played and I'm about to review. I don't know why it's in the box. Here we have Zoar, a game by Andreas Catalanos. This is put out by Vesuvius Media. Really like the artwork on the outside. This looks like a very cool looking game, and it's probably something like Five Tribes Light, because that's what it looks like. So I don't know, we'll see, but the cover really is what got it into my bag, and so we'll see how it goes. Then we have these two that have been in my bag for a while, the Legacy of Lopan expansion for Big Trouble in Little China. I am probably, most definitely, maybe going to be playing this on Saturday because we have a long game meetup day, full day on Saturday at Cool Stuff. So hopefully we'll be able to get this to the table first off, and I'll be able to let you know how it is, in my opinion, of course. And then there is Flying Machines, Magnificent Flying Machines, and this one is, I just like the theme, and I like how the board looks and all that other kind of stuff. So this has been in the bag for about 2 weeks now, so we'll see how it goes. But that's it. That's what's in my game bag. We'll see you guys later on. Let's get back to the rest of your breakfast.
Okay, so this week from the Dice Tower, the big review is probably going to be Quad Heroes. I know a lot of people have been looking forward to that, but I'll be taking a look at 1 to 9 and Chakra and Treasure Mountain and a game called Dosa. We have a live play of a game from with a Game of Thrones style game coming out this Tuesday, so you can see that. There's all different things that are coming out. Of course, we always do our live board game breakfast on Thursday. We have it's episode 600, isn't it? Episode 600 of the Dice Tower. Mandy and Suzanne are putting that one together, and that is going live on Tuesday. So that's kind of neat. It's kind of a milestone of sorts. So very excited about the different things coming. And of course, we have lots of podcasts. I say this every week, and I mean it. There are a lot of fantastic podcasts on the Dice Tower Network. Check them out. Just go to dicetowernetwork.com. So you can just go there and say, what's the newest podcast to listen to at any given point in time? Anyhow, that's what's coming from the Dice Tower this week. Oh, well, I should mention Dice Tower Dive. If you've not watched these we kind of go back and look at something from the past. Sometimes it's a game, sometimes it's a company, sometimes it's a mechanism. This week, it's Carcassonne, going back and taking a look at Carcassonne in depth to some degree. And all our stuff's live. Come on in. A lot of our stuff's live, not all of it. And talk to us, give us feedback. We'd love to hear from you. Let's keep moving.
Everyone, my name's Annette, and you may know me as Natters Plays. And today on Applied Mechanics, I'm going to go over the game of Skull King. So this is a trick-taking game, but it has another mechanism known as bidding. So let me show you a little bit about it and why I really like it. There will be 4 different suits, and they'll range between 1 and 14. Among those cards, you'll also have special cards. You'll play a total of 10 rounds. Based on what round it is, that's how many cards you'll deal out. There are two phases in this game. The first phase is a bidding game, and the second phase is playing out the cards, like a trick-taking game. Based on the cards that you were dealt, you'll then make a decision on how many tricks you think you'll win. Everyone will yell yo ho ho and shoot out a number based on how many tricks they think they'll win. So like a normal trick-taking game, the first player will play out one card. Depending on the suit, the next player will have to play of that same suit if they have it. If the player doesn't have it, then they can play any card. The player who played the highest value number of the trump card will then win the trick. Winning these tricks will go towards your bid. If by any chance a player plays the black suit or the Jolly Roger suit, then they'll win the trick no matter what the trump card is. The special cards will also play a part in the game. For example, a pirate card will win a trick if it's the first pirate played. The escape card will let you lose a trick. This will give you more control based on that bid you're trying to win. The Skull King is the highest card in the whole game. It will beat out all cards, including pirates. And the Tigress can be used either as a pirate or an escape card. As soon as you play it, you have to announce which one it is. If the number of tricks matches the bid that you made at the beginning of the game, then you'll score some major points. I won't go over the scoring of the game because it's included in the box, along with another expansion, for even more variety. Whoever scores the most points at the end of 10 rounds wins. So I'm not very good at trick-taking games, however, I really enjoy this game. I like it because of the bidding aspect. I like the fact that I can bid that I'm going to win all of them, a few of them, or maybe none at all. Those special cards will also give you control within the game. And that's why I really like Skull King. Well, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye!
Happy breakfast, evil masterminds. Today I'm going to talk to you about a game that you can build a machine, capture buildings as long as the Secret Service isn't too strong, and go on missions. It's Victorian Masterminds. It's from CMON, or Come On, whatever they want to be called now, and it's for 2 to 4 players. Now, it's a worker placement game. There's a nice stacking mechanic, but what I want to talk to you about is actually not the randomness of drawing that puts me off, or the bad rulebook, but I want to talk to you about the theme of the game. So the theme is that you are these evil masterminds and you are building these cool machines and doing missions and stuff, but none of it ties, not like the mission cards, they just have symbols on. There's nothing telling me what I'm doing there. So it's, have you got a building? Have you taken the Eiffel Tower? Have you, captured the Colosseum, or a university, or something else? Have you got 3+ firepower? And that's it. They don't have any other information or text on those cards. It's just iconography. I'm assuming they've done that to make it language independent on the board. But the problem with the game then becomes, I'm just completing this mission for points. And that mission itself, I have no idea in the story of this game what's going on. Yeah, I've got 3+ firepower. That's what I've got. That's my stat, that I can get that reward. Not something like you're doing some kind of harebrained scheme where you're, using this firepower, which might sound cool and give a bit more oomph to the game. Anyway, that's Victorian Masterminds, and I'm Oliver East, signing out.
Okay, folks, we're going to take a moment here to pause from Board Game Breakfast to talk to someone who's bringing a new game to the industry. We have Dave Kupernick with us. Welcome to the show, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
Now, I see there in front of you, you got a whole lot of different poker chips and things like that. Looks like it says Dual Bet Poker Plus. Now, I know that poker is a very popular game right now. What is that exactly that you're showing off here?
Well, we're showing off a poker game that not only has a serious poker aspect to it, it also has an additional betting aspect to it. So thus the name Dual Bet Poker.
So I don't know a ton about the differences between poker. I know one of the most common ones is Texas Hold'em poker. Where does this kind of fall into that range?
This is similar to Texas Hold'em in that you will have a number of cards that only you can see that you use to develop a poker hand, along with 5 common area cards that are dealt out during the course of the game that everyone can use. So each player essentially at their best has 10 cards from which they can make their 5-card poker hand. That's one aspect of the game. As each of those individual cards are dealt, though, you're allowed to bet on that individual card. So, in other words, when the game begins, there is a card that's dealt in the first position on the left-hand side of the mat to each player's mat. The game includes mats for up to 4 players. A player looks at that card. They're the only ones that are allowed to see that card. And essentially, they're making a bet on whether they think this card is likely higher than any of the other players' cards in that same position. If they believe it is, they would actually place a bet called a card bet right here. The next card is dealt up in the common area, face up, and now a player is looking at this card, which only they can see, and the common area card, which all players can use, and determining, do I want to make a poker hand bet? And if they like where they're headed with their poker hand, then they would actually place a bet here. So what you end up with is a series of 5 individual card bets. There can be 5 individual winners for each of these, and 1 progressive hand bet that goes all the way through and is eventually given to the poker hand winner. One of the unique aspects of this game is if I thought that this card was not worthy of a bet, I would simply fold that card. And where it gets interesting is I am then folding that card for use also in my eventual poker hand. So instead of 10 cards, I'm down to 9 and so on.
So this game, when you get it, is it a standard 52-card deck or using more than one deck?
You are using a standard 52-card deck.
And then so that when you buy this set, what does it come with?
The set comes with the 4 game mats you see here. It comes with a 52-card deck of cards, traditional playing cards. It comes with a nice little card ranking cheat sheet. Part of the concept of this game is to make poker more fun for those who aren't familiar with it. So we've included this nice little cheat sheet to make sure if they need to look up the ranking of hands for poker, they can. It comes with fold chips, which I demonstrated earlier how those are used. Pass chips, so if the player in first position decided they wanted to pass and see what the other players could do, they could actually pass on the first bet and then respond once the other players have acted. It also comes with 192 poker chips, so you can literally play the game right out of the box. The last element that it comes with is what's called an accelerator die, another unique aspect of Dual Bet Poker Plus. This is designed to accelerate the game. For those that like tournament play or elimination play, there is a minimum card bet on the card bets, or a minimum bet on the card bets, and then every 20 minutes this die is rolled, and I don't know if you can see that, but it's got a 2 and a 3 throughout it. So that multiplies the minimum card bet by either 2 or 3. And that speeds up the process of elimination because the minimum bet keeps increasing during gameplay and makes for rapid elimination if someone wants to play it that way.
Now, I said at the beginning that poker is a really popular, very common game that people play now. What made you decide to make a variant of this game?
I enjoy playing poker. Had been playing, I don't know if you've ever gone through a streak where there's one game that kind of catches your attention and you play it for a while and then all of a sudden realize, I kind of need a change of pace. And so I had been playing Texas Hold'em actually for about 6 months on a pretty regular basis and thought, I wonder if there's just a way to tweak it to make it a little more fun and interesting. So I jotted a few ideas down on a piece of paper and then actually, my normal job is real estate. And I went downstairs and got some old real estate signs and wrote out a game mat on the back of old real estate signs, invited some neighbors over, and over the course of about 3 or 4 nights, really fine-tuned the concept into something that we all thought had something. And I just started carrying it forward, and it has really caught on. And thus you see the full production product before you.
So poker can be played various ways where people play it for no money, just with the chips. Some people play for very small stakes, M&Ms or nickels or what have you. And some people play with, for small amounts of money, large amounts of money. which way do you prefer to play with this game? Is it made for people who don't necessarily want to put actual money on the game?
The beauty of it is with the chips being included, any one of the aforementioned categories that you listed could play, because realistically, for my group, what we tend to play is we play with the chips, but then we've designated a specific pot, first, second, third type of thing. It just makes it really easy to be able to fit any of the scenarios you set by playing with the chips typically.
So can you tell us a little bit about the chips, what denominations and what they are? I'm a big fan of poker chips, so I always like to see what's in the game.
Well, we've got a couple of things working. First and foremost, the game itself currently is set up to come with no denomination, chips without denomination, excuse me. And the idea behind that is so that anyone can play. They are color-coded so that you can set your own values to each color. It tends to kind of fit what I see the majority of people doing. We will be coming out for folks like yourself with a pro version of this game, in which we will allow chips with actual denominations on them.
So you're getting into this thing. This is a game that you are developing and building. How do people get a hold of this? Is this going online? How are you selling it?
It is actually available online right now. We are selling it through pre-orders. You can go to dualbetpokerplus.com. And there's a nice big buy button right there on the home screen. And when you click that, it takes you to our pre-order page. You can place your pre-order once we hit our minimum, which is quite low actually for funding a company. It's only 1,500 games. Once we hit that minimum, we will place our first inventory order and ship the games to you once we receive them.
So this is kind of interesting. I wanted to ask you, what other games, is there like any other games that kind of influence when you're putting this together? You like poker very much, obviously. Yes. Are there other games you'd like that kind of gave you ideas and things?
I don't know that there was one specific one. Poker was the main hold. I know I like to play, blackjack is probably the other game that I enjoy the most. The real grab for me was to try and find something that my girlfriend Beth actually would like to play, because as much as she enjoys spending time with me, poker's not high on her priority list of games. And so she would play, but she wouldn't play with the same enthusiasm that she plays this, because when you add in the element of the high card bets, it's actually very easy for a non-poker player to participate in that category anyway. And inherently, the poker card kind of builds itself, and they learn how to play poker. So she's enjoyed a nice journey of starting off going, I can just play this at a casual pace. And now she's become someone who doesn't need the cheat sheet anymore. So
this kind of is something that if people who don't know poker hands and all that stuff, they can kind of learn the whole game itself.
Yes. Yeah. It really fits both demographics, if you will. Poker players love it. I actually had a registered Texas Hold'em dealer play the game and analyze it, and absolutely fell in love with it. The way that he described it, Tom, was that he described it as a true poker game. A lot of times poker players will have their carnival nights where they play something other than poker just for a change of pace. He said this fits into more of the pure poker category because it is true poker. The betting is the same betting rules and things like that. So he found it to be a great alternative to, say, Texas Hold'em.
Well, this is interesting, folks. If you want to learn more about it, you can check out their website. And, it's interesting because most poker chips have denominations. So I'm kind of curious, if nothing else, people can get another set of poker chips by getting this, checking this out. So thanks for showing up on the show today and telling us about the game.
My pleasure. Great to be here. And thank you very much, Tom.
And now let's get back to the show. All right, so what's getting added to the Dice Tower library this week? Well, we have the deluxe version of Everdell. I won't be keeping the sleeve for it because I'm not a huge fan of sleeves. It's a really pretty sleeve, though, but the collector's edition, adding Whistle Stop with the expansion inside of it. Dinogenics. Got to have our dinosaur games. Add it to the thing. Then we got some classic games, Bootleggers. I really think that Bootleggers is a fantastic old-time game. Glad to add this one in. City of Iron 2nd Edition. I don't know if this is classic, but it's a great game from Ryan Lockett. Then the Quest of Crystal and Lava map pack here for Massive Darkness. Well, you know what? Let's just throw in Massive Darkness. Dungeon Crawl into the library. And then finally, Galactic Warlords. This is a game that I have not played yet. Looks pretty good. Sam says it's pretty good, so we're sticking it in the library. And that's what we're adding to the Dice Tower library this week.
Hi, Mike Licio from Solo Mode Games. You might not know it to look at me, but growing up on the West Coast, I was a punk rock kid. I loved punk rock music. What does this have to do with solo gaming? Well, you wouldn't think much, but if you'll go with me here a moment, I think I found a connection. One of the hallmarks of punk rock music from its earliest days is the DIY ethic, or do-it-yourself. And I've been seeing this come up in the solo gaming community as well. One of the things that you'll see oftentimes is people will take a solo mode for a game and maybe tweak it or adjust it in such a way to make it more for their type of play style. Another thing that you hear about a lot is a game that doesn't have a solo mode and someone coming up on their own with a solo variant and maybe posting it on Boardgame Geek. Well, this do-it-yourself ethic is starting to really make some big inroads in the solo gaming community, and one of the most notable instances of this is with the game Root. Now, Root was one of my favorite games of last year, but as it came, the solo mode was not really for the best to me. It was something that was good as a teaching tool, maybe to learn how to play the different factions, but as a pure solo experience, it really didn't cut it, in my opinion. And other people seem to have similar thoughts. And so somebody came up with something called the Better Bot project on Boardgame Geek, and it's kind of grown and expanded, so much so that the designers of Root have taken this and they are working with the person that came up with it and making it an official part of the expansion, the newest expansion for Root that's now on Kickstarter. I think this is just amazing. It's awesome that developers and designers are taking some of these ideas that are coming out of the solo gaming community and adding them to their products. So this DIY ethic that so appealed to me in punk rock music, it's another thing that's appealing to me in solo games. So if you have any other examples about this, please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear them. Thank you so much for your time, and have a great day.
Welcome to The Purge.
Row 2, column 4. Here we go. The first one is Forum Trajanum. Stefan Feld, it's one of his latest games. This one questioned me, why am I willing to play games?
Why am I doing it at all?
Yeah, why am I doing it at all? I'm gonna veto this one.
What do you mean, veto? I didn't say anything.
Gonna leave the collection.
I did not even say...
I don't care what you say, girl! This game is out! Sorry, Stefan Feld, don't just write down rules and tell me what to do! I'm mad about that game.
Okay.
Quest for El Dorado. Fun family game. Deck building.
I like it. I really like it. Well. We played the expansion at Essen. It added more fun for me, for our son as well. I really liked it, so I want this to stay.
Yeah. I wish the cards were bigger. I wish I could hold 5 cards in my hand instead of 4. But still, fun game. It stays. Alchemists. Fun deduction game. It uses an app. It's a puzzle in itself. Each time you play it, it's a new puzzle. I love getting information, even when other people are doing something and they can't imagine I could get info out of that. But I always manage to do it. I love it. I love Alchemist.
I kind of like it, and I'm afraid we cannot sell this one anyway because this game is broken.
There's a hole in the box.
Yeah.
It's another loophole, right?
Broken games?
It's unsellable, but it still has worth to me, so this has to stay.
I don't like where this is going.
Last one this week is Downforce.
I really like it. A racing game. I don't like car races in normal life, but this is a fun game about racing where you can help your opponents to cross the finish line first and can still win by betting on them. So yeah. I really like it. Yeah,
I like it as well. The expansion boards are in here. I only wish we have an upgrade for the cards, for the cars. I think that would
different
be
cars.
Nice. Well, just have some little pimp them
Prius,
up a bit.
The hybrid.
Bling them out. Yeah. So, 1 game gone, 3 games are staying. I think that's a nice average
not too bad.
there. The Purge is working. My name is Dave Luza.
I'm Ilka Luza.
Thanks for watching.
See
Bye.
Ya.
What's up, Internet? My name is Michael Cook. This is Boardgame Evangelism, and we're here to spread the good news of face-to-face fun. In the last couple weeks, we took a look at tiling and set collection with the idea of building up to Keyflower, and this week we're going to take a look at route building. I think a great introductory route building game is Transamerica. In Transamerica, you're going to be just taking your little railroad pieces, and from your home city or home spot, wherever you start out, you're going to be covering up 2 lines on the board from there, spreading out in this grid that covers the United States, or there's also Trans-Europa. But you're just going to be trying to build your network, and whenever it connects to someone else's network, now it's all one big network, and it just becomes this frantic race to try and connect your 5 cities before someone else does. A lot of fun. Another great tile-laying route building game is going to be Karuba. In Karuba, you're taking tiles, you choose which one to place out, everyone else places the same tile onto their board as well, but you have to decide how you're going to build yours to work through your board to connect to the treasures that you want to get to and get out quickly. So it's got the tile laying that you have in Keyflower, and you also have to really think about what's the shortest route that you can get somewhere, which is what you want to do with your resource movement in Keyflower. And the last one that I want to talk about is Thurn and Taxis. In Thurn and Taxis, you have route building represented by each card is going to be a city, but each turn you have to add to your route or else you lose it. So you have to decide, okay, do I want to take this city and this city and hope that I draw the one in the middle? So it plays into a little bit of that, well, I need to make sure that I actually can use this. And that spatial aspect also, I think, is really important. I can't emphasize enough. Proximity is big in Keyflower. So that's what I want to talk about in terms of route building. If you have any other recommendations for route building games, let me know in the comment section below. And next week, we'll take a look at Pick Up and Deliver. Until next time, thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe if you like what you see. And enjoy the rest of your breakfast.
Hello guys, it's Cardboard Rhino, and today for the abstract game and strategy lovers, I want to show you a simple but very clever variation to chess, executed beautifully and carrying the intriguing name of Anarchess. Anarchess takes place in the land of chess long before the black and white enemy kingdoms were formed. Back then, there were no kings, queens, bishops, knights, or armies. The world was unexplored and amorphous, with just 2 proud tribes constantly struggling to expand their territories to survive. Anarchess takes only the pawns from chess and allows them to be more than just pawns. They're free entities. There's 2 versions, the travel one that is close to pocket size and comes in different colors, and the deluxe version with these beautiful chunky wooden pieces. You start the game with 2 black and white pieces on the center of the table, and you keep the rest of the tiles in the bag. One player gets the white pawns and the other the black ones. You then draw a random tile from the bag, and the player with the opposite color is the first player. In your turn, you draw a random tile from the bag and you place it on the table so that at least one of its sides touches one side of a tile already on the table. In the deluxe version, you roll the die to determine the color of the tile you should place. If the tile only touches one side of another adjacent tile, then it has to be a tile of the opposite color. While when it touches 2 or more sides, it can be of any color. And this is the way to create areas. All the same color tiles touching each other belong to the same area, and the game is basically an area control game. Then after placing the tile in your turn, you may do one more action if you want, which is placing a pawn on the tile you just placed or moving an existing pawn. You can only move them horizontally or vertically onto an empty tile, or you may attack an opponent pawn diagonally to an adjacent tile in any direction. The attacked pawn returns back to its original reserve and may be reused by that player. The game ends when the last tile was placed on the table, and then you count the points from the areas you control. An area belongs to the player with the most pawns in it. If there is an equal number of pawns from both sides, then no one controls the area. If you control an area of at least 2 tiles, each tile counts for 2 points. If there is just 1 pawn in the area, each tile counts for 3 points. And last, from the sum of your points, you subtract 6 points for any remaining pawns that you didn't place on the board. Anarchess is simple but with strategic depth, and I love the minimalism of the design and the great production quality. During the game, every tile that you place can change the board and the balance between the two powers completely, making it exciting and head-to-head until the end. I think it's a great choice to play with your family, your mom, your dad, your cousin, your kids, or anyone who's into strategy games that are not too complex to learn, but are tough to master. So Rhino says yes to Honor Chess. I can totally recommend this game.
RESPECT, respect. This is something that comes up a lot in my game reviews, where people talk and they'll say, Tom doesn't respect that game, treats his games with disrespect. First of all, I would make a couple arguments in this regard. I don't think games are people. I think it's important to treat people with respect. I think, for example, this figure here, if I do that, he's not going to have his feelings hurt. I don't think the company is going to have their feelings hurt. It's not that big of a deal. And other people say, though, that you should treat things with respect, and I understand what they're trying to say here. They're trying to say, take care of things, and I'll tell you what, if it's your game, I will always treat your game with as much respect as you want. So if you want to play with your game in card sleeves, if you want me to wear gloves, I probably won't wear gloves when playing your game, but you know what I mean? Your game is your game. Some people say, well, Tom, these games, you get them for free, which is another whole argument itself. They're not free, but so you don't care how much they cost. Well, first of all, we pay for a lot of our games, and secondly, that doesn't change anything at all. See, why do I do these component drops in videos? I've said this before, but I thought I would clarify it because it's fun for me. So I do it for a couple reasons. One, it's a good way to show you all the components from a game in one swift thing. There they are. It gives you an idea of just how much is in the box in a way that very few other things do. Two, no one else does it, for good reason, because it's a real pain to clean up, and sometimes I regret having started it, but it is what it is. It's the signature thing of the Dice Tower. And three, because I do find a little bit of humor in how some people get really upset about the whole thing. But I want to set your minds at ease. So here I have a game here that I'm treating with respect, Quad Heroes. Look at this. Don't worry, I'm taking good care of it. All right, so we look at a game here. So here I have some miniatures for the game. Here I have, for example, a card of the game. I know that bothers you, some of you, that I did that. But if I take a card, a single card, and I'm playing a card game, for example, and I just toss that card on the table, it doesn't actually affect that card. So how is that different than me taking a bunch of cards and just taking them and dropping them on the table? They don't really hurt each other. You say, but what about miniatures? Again, I try to be careful with miniatures, but as you throw miniatures around, even ones that are painted, and hopefully Roy's not cringing too much here, but really, the effect of this is, I've said this many times, almost no components ever have gotten damaged in one of these. Not any more than you accidentally dropping a die on the floor. And so as you throw pieces on here, one at a time, it probably doesn't bother you as much. Dropping a whole pile of cards at one time is even less effective. Yes, there's the chance that there might be a small nick or a small dent on the card, but very, very rare. But here's the deal, folks, and the thing is this, is that they are just games. Now, I think you should treat your property with respect, but I want stuff to be used. It drives me crazy when I go to someone's house and they have a big library of books, but no one ever reads them. Or they have a huge DVD collection, but they never watch them. They have a big game collection, and you never play it. Games still in shrink and stuff. That's fine, I guess, if you want to do that, but I don't want to do that. I want my stuff to be used. If you see my copy of Lost Cities, and then you see my copy of some of the games that I have, they are so beat up because we play them so much. Not because I drop them on the table, but because we play them a ton. They are well-loved games. And when I pick up the cards and I find a few nicks and things on the sides of them or the board and stuff, who cares? The game is so much fun. It's more than just the pieces inside. And you know who I convinced? Nobody. You know, those of you who are watching who think I shouldn't do component drops, none of you were convinced by me showing you this. Those of you who don't care, I don't think I convinced you the other way either. It doesn't really matter. I just thought I would point it out. I think games, it's important to treat stuff with respect, especially other people's stuff. I won't walk on your grass if you don't want me to. But I'll walk on mine because I don't care as much. And that's fine, and I will respect your boundaries with your stuff. I just ask that you respect mine with mine. Now let me throw this stuff down!
Sorry, I was trying to come up with some sort of intro to talk about what kind of, what game is based off of, but I can't find it. It's Fantasy Flight, so it's gotta be some sort of movie or famous dragon. Hi, I'm Jordan. This is Second Chance Shelf, where I take a look back at an older game and see if it deserves a second chance back at your table. Today we're looking at Dragonheart by Rudiger Dorn and Fantasy Flight Games. Let's look inside at a couple things that I think are interesting. In Dragonheart, players are trying to collect the most points, which are printed here on the cards. Each player receives an identical deck of cards at the start of the game, and throughout the game players are going to take turns playing one or more card on the sections of the board. To see what each section of the board does, let's look at the super easy iconography and layout of the board. The printed rectangles on the board show how many cards fit in each section before triggering. For example, the knight here requires 2 cards before triggering. When the card triggers, follow the arrow and take those cards to score. Throughout the game, there's a tense tug of war with the card placement. Maybe on your turn you place a number of high-value treasure chest cards knowing that you'll be able to get them on your turn with your dragon card. However, she swoops in with her dragon card to steal the treasure chests out from underneath you. So that was a quick look at Dragonheart. I think this was a really satisfying game that definitely deserves a second chance off your shelf. Thanks.
Hey everybody, Steven here from BGW. Today we're going to look at some game trays upgrades for the game Small World, and these hold your race tokens and everything nice and snug in here. Let's take a look at these. So normally when you have your race and your special power, you just line them up and keep them in front of you along with the tokens, but then you have to pull them out of the insert every time and it can get kind of annoying. So all of the race tokens will just store in these little trays, and they have a nice little upward trend there, so you can easily pop these tokens out as you need them. And it makes for a nice clean design that holds up to 20 of the race tokens. Then you just have the race tile go right on top. And again, it's easy to access because it has this little channel here that you can get up. And then you put the lid on. And essentially this is both for gameplay and storage purposes when these races are coming out at the beginning and during the game. And essentially the power tile would then go right on the side here when you're matching them up during the game. And it's nice and easy. You can see right through the clear screen even though it's on there. And then when you get it in front of you, essentially you can take the power, take the lid off, and you have everything right there nice and handy for you. And this makes it storing during the game, but also it makes it much easier to put away. So when you're playing the market, will look like this, and you'll have the race tokens on top, and you'll have all of yours stacked up. And again, you can put coins on these as normal like you would. It makes it nice and easy when you're taking the races that you get it all in one nice package. You can fit up to 30 of these game trays boxes in your box if you take out the insert, but I just have the base game here with 14 of the races. And what I did is I actually just cut off half of the plastic insert and kept the half that organizes all of the point tokens and different region tokens nice. What I did was I just kept my sticker sheet and put it on top here. Then I put the boards right on top of that, along with some of the rules, and put the box on, and everything fits in here. Nice and snug. Okay everyone, those are the game trays for Small World. Again, hopefully now after seeing those you can kind of make the decision for yourself if you want to kind of upgrade your game to the next level with those game trays. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.
My name's Andy and welcome to Potable Gaming, the show about games which are fun to play in pubs and cafes. So the game we're going to talk about today is Mintworks, possibly the most portable game in the Potable Gaming series, because it fits in a mint tin. So the game is simple. It is a worker placement game. It is the most pure worker placement game you might ever play. It is the best way to teach that mechanic. You and your opponents will have a series of mints. You will have a set of spaces you can place them in. Placing them will get you different actions. For example, placing one here will get me 2 mints. Placing these 4 mints here will allow me to spend 4 to buy a factory card, which I will place in my hand. I can then place a further 2 mints if I had them to build that plan, and so on until you either pass or you run out of mints. And your aim is to try and build enough of these plan cards to score 7 stars at the end of a round. The person who scores that wins. But what makes this fun is all of these cards have different abilities, different powers. They will combo off each other. You may get more stars for having certain types of cards. You may get less stars for having certain types of cards. You might have stars for having cards in hand, not in play. And it's very clever, it's very fun, and it's just very simple. Worker placement's a fun mechanic. It's one I really enjoy. And it's something that normally takes a bit of time. You've got to spend a bit of time investing in that. This we'll play in 15, 20 minutes. We've played multiple rounds of this once because we just put it in a handbag and played it at a pub, at a beer festival. And it's great. And if you've got somebody who hasn't played a worker placement game, this is possibly the greatest way you can teach a complete novice. I took this to a friend once on a works trip, and we played this after the conference, and he loved it, and he'd never played a worker placement game. It is portable, it is light, it has a small form factor if you play it correctly, and it's a lot of fun. So I would highly recommend from 524 Labs, and it works. Anyway, I've been Andy, thank you very much. It's your round.
Hey, I'm Matthew Jude from This Game's Broken and This Is Dead Last, where I talk briefly about board games each week. Each week is probably a stretch, but I do try. The concept I want to talk about this week is the idea of abstract games. And I have had a thought recently. I believe that the most abstract games are the games that I love. These dirty, dry Euros. The thing that I think is the most abstract concept in all time is conflict that rolls to resolve, which is a trope, I think, of the Ameritrash variety. That's right, I said it. There is nothing more abstract than pulling a sword and then rolling a dice to see if that sword does anything. I appreciate that the idea of the dice roll is to illustrate luck and to represent the luck of the combat, and sometimes you just get lucky and you throw your scarf around your neck and walk off after you've looted an orc. But, you know, I don't think orcs, and would they wear scarves? Anyway, I think that rolling a dice to see how any kind of conflict went is the most abstract. I would just love to see someone in a fight and just say, hey, okay, carry on, punch me in the face. It's just so unbearably abstract. I just think it's not the fact that it's not. I'm not angry that it is abstract. I just think it's funny that it is so abstract, yet it's seen as to be less so than these games. Do you agree? Do you not agree? I'm sure I have at least one side of that argument waiting for me in the comments below. So let me know what you think about the concept, and I will I'll wait with bated breath. Or will I? We'll see. Hold on, let me just roll.
And that's it for another Board Game Breakfast. Thanks so much for watching. I'm super excited. I'm getting excited because it's just, we're getting into the year of, I don't know, there's just stuff going on. Dice Tower Retreat, I see the people who are coming to that, and it's thrilling. I'm like, ooh, I can't wait for that. If you watched our thing last week, you saw about games that got better and better, and we talked about, ooh, we had so much fun playing all these games at Dice Tower West, and Dice Tower West was fantastic. And now we look to the future. Dice Tower Con happening in July, Dice Tower Retreat happening in September, and Dice Tower Cruise. And if you've never come to these, I'm telling you folks, they are fantastic, so check them out. But you know what? Maybe you can't come to any of them. That's fantastic too. We're glad you're watching our show. We want you to feel part of our show, even if you can't make any of these events. If you come to our live stuff, talk back and forth to us. Sometimes we'll respond and talk to you, but there's other people in chat. Have a fantastic time. Thank you, everybody. We appreciate your support. We appreciate you watching. And thanks for watching Board Game Breakfast. Until next time, I'm Tom Vassell, and this is the Dice Tower.
Thanks for watching Board Game Breakfast. Tune in each week for your daily dose of gaming goodness with Tom Vassell and all the gang. Until next time, I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching Board Game Breakfast, a Dice Tower production, sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., an amazing place to buy board games. Cool stuff in stock at coolstuffinc.com.